Welcome, Impactful Parents. It's time for the Impactful Parenting Podcast, where I give you parenting tips and resources to make you a more impactful parent to your school-age child. I am your host, Kristina Campos. Welcome, Impactful Parents. Today we have a heavy subject because we are going to be talking about self-harm and what to do if you're afraid that your child might be going down this path. Welcome to the Impactful Parent. So I know that this is a heavy subject, and I am purposely recording this in April, which I typically do actually once a year in April. April is notoriously a hard month for children. I don't know what it is. I was in education and I'm in the schools for years, and every April is just rough. Everybody is irritated, everybody's sad, everybody's mad at each other. Like, it's rough. And what I can tell parents, especially if you know that you're struggling right now, is if you can get through April, May will look up. Every year, by May, something turns around. The sun comes out, the kids can see the light at the end of the tunnel, summer break is right around the corner, May will shift it. But April is rough, and I don't know why that is. Statistically, also, we have more self-harm and suicides during the month of April more than any other month. I think October is the other month that's pretty hard for most kids. So something to think about, that if you're going through this, you are definitely not alone. And I brought this up as I was thinking because my teenager was also having a hard time right now. And I've had bouts of scared incidences with one of my children. And I know what that's like, to feel terrified that your child is going to self-harm. And I would say that in all of that, when it's hard to eat, it's hard to think, you're constantly worried, you cannot sleep. I encourage my parents to put everything to the side for a moment and really, really encourage them to work on their connection with their child. If you really, really believe that your child's going down the wrong path, bottom line is, forget about everything else in the world. Forget about their grades. Forget about the after school activity. Forget about it all. Because if you're really in that spot, we need to work on the connection you have with your child. They need connection to stay on the planet and to take care of themselves. They need to feel like they have a place of belonging. And that is where the foundation really, really, truly begins. So I want to start off with that as I go through today and all the self-harm and all the things and warning signs, and we're going to talk about so much, that we concentrate that if you're in that place, bottom line is, forget everything else. Work on the connection you have with your child. Start spending more time with them, one-on-one time. If they don't want to spend time with you and all they want to do is play video games all day long, sit next to them and play video games with them all day long. If you hate video games, sit next to them and watch them play video games all day long. It is about connection now. It's really, you got to double down and figure out how you can get to that kid. Is it walks? Walks are so great for kids and for parents, and it's an opportunity to talk. I can't stress how awesome they are. And yet, we never go on walks anymore as parents with our kids. It's so sad. I encourage you, go on a walk with your child. Taking them to something, favorite ice creams. You're stretching. And that is the focus, that connection. Remember, you're role modeling all the time. So if you yourself are having a really hard time in April, I'm going to raise my hand because I'm one of these parents right now. I'm going through some personal things, and it's been really, really difficult. I'm going to try not to cry because it is so hard what I'm going through right now. And on top of it, I'm trying to be a mom. And I have kids that need my help. And so I have to constantly remind myself not only to show up for them and really double down on those things that I know are super, super important, like that connection, but also that I'm role modeling how to handle stress, how to handle situations that you feel uncomfortable in, how to handle things that are just difficult in life. This is really important because your kids look to you for how to deal with their own big emotions, especially teenagers. You would think by then they'd got it all down, but oh, no. Teenagers have more big emotions than anybody else, and they're trying to figure out how to deal with it all. So they look around to see, how is everybody else dealing with this? And that's where you come in. Because guess who they see a lot? Guess who's in their home? Guess who is the role model? And yeah, you're not the only one, but you're a really, really big one. So consider, how are you handling your stress right now? Even through all of this that you're going through with your child. Are you freaking out? Are you yelling? Are you nitpicking? Think about, are you taking care of yourself? Are you saying that I'm stressed out, I need to stress out more? Or are you saying I'm stressed out, I'm going to take care of myself so I can get balanced, so I can take care of you? See the difference there. So many things that this topic brings up. But I wanted to actually lead with that today and on my podcast because that's really the main point. We are being watched by our kids. And sometimes in the month of April, it's important to focus on that connection and just get down to the basics, which is loving our children. Now let's get into the thick of the learning today, because today I'm going to be talking about self-harm and cutting. Why do kids do this? What to look for in your child? How can parents help their children? And then stick around to the end because I'm also going to be giving you warning signs that the situation might be getting worse. Now we got a lot to cover. So let's get going. Self-harm is when a person hurts themselves to deal with difficult feelings, painful memories, overwhelm, or trauma. And the most common forms of self-harm are cutting, burning, carving words or symbols into their skin, self-hitting, self-punching, head-banging, scratching, piercing the skin with a sharp object. Head-banging is popular, and inserting objects even under the skin on the very superficial side of the skin. Now, the most popular form of self-harm for girls is cutting. This might look like a child taking a razor blade or other sharp object and passing the blade across their skin, hard enough to penetrate the cut, and maybe creating lines or words or symbols. For boys, the most popular form of self-harm is punching or hitting themselves. Wanted you to know that, so you can look out for it. In fact, the average age of a child's first incident of self-harm is around the age of 13. So that's the average age. If you think your child's too young, think about that. They may not be. I want parents to know that self-harm can start at a very early age so that you are aware. Parents need to be aware that their child's body, without being too invasive on their child, be aware. Most self-harm will leave a mark. So we're looking for these marks. Most of these marks will be left on their arms, on their legs, and maybe even on their front torso area, like stomach. So if you find your child wearing long sleeves on a particularly warm day, long pants at the beach, or maybe there's a sudden refusal to go to the pool, which is like AKA I don't want to get into a swimsuit, pause and notice those. It doesn't mean that something's happening. It means that you're aware that something could be happening, and good for you. You're one step ahead of your child. And notice. Those behaviors are warning signs of self-harm. Parents want to look for fresh cuts. You want to look for those scratches and bruises and bite marks and picking skin and rug burns, which, by the way, yes, rug burns. This comes from excessively rubbing an area to create a burn. And some kids, including one of my own in the past, had this technique just out of stress and anxiety, would rub a spot down so it would hurt. It was painful. Watching for these are so important. And we'll even watch out for your child reporting injury too often. Maybe saying that they're clumsy. That could be a warning sign too. Now let's debunk a few misconceptions about self-harm that many parents don't understand, because I want to ease you up. Myth number one is that if a child is self-harming, they want to kill themselves. No. Roll it back, parents. I know that's where our brain goes immediately, and I'm going to debunk this for you right now. Self-harm does not necessarily mean that they are attempting to kill themselves or want that. In fact, most of the time, it's the opposite. Self-harm is a coping mechanism. It's a way to deal with their big emotions of whatever is going on in their life. And most suicide attempts are well thought out and planned. However, self-harm, no, that's more impulsive for the majority of kids. Now, I'm not saying that it's not something to really, really consider, and I'm not saying that that couldn't be the case. Maybe self-harm is leading to that, so we have to watch out. I just want to also tell you that it may not be. So find out, get the information that you need before you start drawing your conclusions. What does this mean for parents? It means that your child is suffering emotionally. They are not in a good place mentally, and they need help, right? So whatever they're dealing with has them hurting so badly that they look to hurting themselves externally just to feel better. So consider, how are we going to handle that? Let's get to myth number two. Myth number two is that the child is self-harming to seek attention. Now, this child might be giving a cry for help. And when they show their wounds to someone, that is definitely saying, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. It is a cry for help. It's saying, help me. So notice that. But I will also tell you that most self-harm is hidden. Children hide the evidence of harming themselves because they feel embarrassed and scared. And they're worried they're going to get in trouble. And a lot of kids are ashamed of the marks that they have left behind. So what does this mean for you? It means that your child needs help learning coping skills. Not a lecture about how awful it is that they're hurting themselves. They already know it's bad. Your child doesn't have good coping tools to help with that psychological pain. So they can't manage their emotions productively. And this means that your child is having trouble regulating and expressing and understanding their feelings. They likely feel worthless, maybe lonely, mad, rejected, even guilty. But the bottom line is that they'll need some help. Taking them to a therapist could be very helpful. They could feel comfortable talking to someone. That could be a very important next step. The therapist might ask a psychiatrist to prescribe antidepressant medication also, depending on the situation. There's lots of things that it could divert to, but this is where you as a parent can decide your path. And myth number 3 of self-harm is that self-harm is a phase. All right, I'm going to say no. It's not a phase. Self-harm needs to be taken seriously so it doesn't spiral into bigger problems. A phase implies that a phase implies that a child is just going through something in development and it's normal, where self-harm is not normal. Kids with an increased risk of self-harm might have friends who are also doing it. And they might be also using drugs or alcohol, or it could get to that very quickly. They have gone through some mental trauma of some sort, or they could be having some other underlying mental health issues. So do not think that this could be just a phase. So what does that mean for you as a parent? You need to keep vigilant. And you got to look out for that self-harm like we've been talking about. Why people self-harm is unique in every single person. It's literally different for everyone. And the child is often trying to punish themselves and turn emotional pain into physical pain. Or maybe they just want to stop feeling numb and feel something at all. I've heard that too. These children need your help. So watch your child closely. Don't judge them for their actions, but instead show your child your concern and your love. Give your child access to a therapist if you can, as soon as possible, to start learning more productive coping strategies. This will be very important. We got to build their coping skills. And lastly, there are support groups out there for both parents and children. Find that safe space to vent to people if you need to understand what other people are going through so you can feel not so alone. They can give you powerful tools for overcoming this very difficult time. And actually, I have a freebie that you can also download now that I'm thinking about it. It is called 20 Ways to Cope. And on that free PDF, I give you more than 20 ways that you can teach your child how to cope. We can start with that. You can download this PDF and start talking to your kids about what's on the list. Now, be careful if you do this, because you can't project how to cope on them. You can't say, go for a walk. Why don't you go listen to some music? It's got to be their choice. They have to learn how to cope on their own, because anything that you suggest, honestly, they're just going to push back and look at skeptical. So give them these different choices. Say, hey, I've heard that this and this and this and this help. Want to try any of those? And let them pick. That's the way I'd like for you to approach that PDF. So to get that PDF, I want you to go to theimpactfulparent.com/20 ways to cope. And that's 20, as in the numeral, ways to cope. 20 ways to cope. And get that free PDF today. Now let's move on to the last thing, the warning signs of the situation getting worse. Because you do want to know that, so we don't get this any further than it needs to go. Let's just say it. How do I know the difference between my child self-harming to cope or self-harming to commit suicide? I know you're scared. Be mindful of your child's space and privacy, but watch them closely. And here are the things that I want you to look for that might indicate things are getting worse. Neglecting their appearance. Finally deciding that they just don't care. Not wanting to shower, brush their teeth, wearing sloppy clothes even. Giving away their items. Starting to give things away, saying, oh, I know that she would really like this. And just start giving things away. Extreme mood swings. Now, I know this is typical teenager behavior, and that's why this is hard, but you're looking for those. Talking about wanting to die or to kill themselves is obviously another warning sign. Writing about death. If you see a journal or anything, a school project, watch out for that. Withdrawing from everyone. Isolating themselves and not wanting to talk, not reaching out anymore. That feeling of giving up. Maybe they'll talk about feeling trapped. Watch out for those words. They also could start behaving recklessly. Like they just don't care anymore, right? But it goes the other way. There's the isolating, I just don't care anymore. And then there's a recklessness to, I just don't care anymore. It could go either direction. They also could show extreme anger and talk about seeking revenge. Watch out for that. They also could be sleeping too little or sleeping too much. Again, I know this is a typical teenager thing to do, but it adds to the list. Watch out for increased use of alcohol or drugs, talking about being a burden to others, looking online for ways to die. And this I do encourage parents. Check search history, keep up with what your child's looking at on Google. There's usually some indication here, some warning sign. And then also there could be a sudden calmness before. And so just watching all of these warning signs. I know it's hard, but if these warning signs resonate with your family, please take your child to a local hospital emergency room for evaluation and start the process of seeking help. I know it's a big topic, but you got this, parents. You can get to May. The light is over that hill, and we just got a few more weeks left. Hang in there. Concentrate. Focus on the connection with your child. Let everything else is not that important. You got this. I'm just here to help. Thank you for listening today. Remember to subscribe and share this podcast with a friend. And don't forget, the Impactful Parenting Podcast is an extension of the Impactful Parent community. Go to the Impactful Parent website and download the free Impactful Parent app so you don't miss a parenting tip that can help you and your family. Thanks for listening today. So go to theimpactfulparent.com and see you next episode.